What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. It is absolute craziness over at Ubisoft as the company implodes, basically. Up is down, down is up, cats and dogs walking around like humans, looking for butt scratches. I don't know what they're doing, and they don't know what they're doing. And here you can go right here. Ubisoft admits Star Wars Outlaws sales softer than expected. This, along with a bunch of bugs in that game, has just led to a disastrous results, and it's a fail. And in addition to that, you get the French Video Game Union calling for Ubisoft employees to strike after the failure of Star Wars Outlaws. All the while, the devs and everyone else over there at Assassin's Creed Shadows has been looking at this and going, oh. So we saw the other day that they canceled their press briefings. They pulled out of the Tokyo Game Show, and everyone's like, oh, they're going to delay it. And yes, in fact, they did delay it. We saw their stock prices take a hit after, and it's just a staggering down for the last 4 years. So this is just another ruination on top of already ruination. It's funny, we just saw some opinion pieces from financial analysts talking about Ubisoft needs a miracle, and Assassin's Creed Shadows is not that miracle, and just proven itself true once again. And so yeah, that was delayed. That's led to a tailspin. The company itself, would you believe it, is ignoring all of the actual criticism and all of the results of this. And yes, the stock prices couldn't be worse. You can see here, Grum's posted this just this morning. It's an incel victory. Yeah, you don't hate the mainstream media enough. So it's an incel victory. Voting with wallets worked for Target, Tractor Supply, John Deere, Harley Davidson, and now Ubisoft. Keep voting with your wallets. We're winning. Video game, and you can see this from Fast Company, video game maker Ubisoft in chaos after anti-DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion backlash. The Assassin's Creed game maker delayed its biggest launch of the year, reduced forecasts, and it's facing calls to sell in what is being called an incel victory, which that term, incel, involuntarily celibate. Every man is involuntarily celibate unless you have a really understanding girlfriend or wife. Other than that, most guys would be fucking when they do not have the option to. So it's a term that's just a little bit redundant. But either way, that leads us to the main big right now of the fact that they have done this to themselves because they have ignored all actual criticism of the game. And of course, they're in an echo chamber and a toxic positivity environment where you can't even bring up the negatives because you'd be dismissed as one of us. And so, yeah, these are the alleged Ubisoft developers claim that the company either ignores legitimate criticism of its business practices and game or brushes it off as toxic gamer talk, also claiming that the company's DEI policies have led to a loss of talent in both technical expertise as well as creativity. And that is exactly what has happened to Hollywood. When everyone keeps wondering, don't they know how to make TV anymore? Why is everything so expensive? Because you fired everyone who knew what they were doing. I know that sounds hyperbolic, but it's not. You literally fired everyone with the experience, the know-how, the passion, the life experience of which to write characters from. And you ushered in a bunch of fucking influencers from Tumblr. Also not hyperbolic. Shout out to D-Files and Film Threat, which we actually have, because that's what my next video is, covering the D-Files. So yes, everyone that knew what they were doing is gone. So here, this is from YouTuber Legendary Drops reporting that he spoke with a number of Ubisoft developers, rather, and specifically asked one how Ubisoft internalizes and discusses general criticism from players and the rest of the industry, whether it's repetitive design, agenda-driven content, or predictable games. The developer responded, at a high level, they rarely talk about it. At a project level, they brush it off as toxic gamer talk. As Asmongold correctly pointed out in one of his videos, Ubisoft is filled with toxic positivity that prevents growth. Okay, so they asked about the Japanese gamers sharing their own state and how, of course, that was one of the biggest insults to the Japanese people, is that they just got accused of, oh, those are all white people using translators on Google to complain. It's not actual Japanese anger, and well, they learned the hard way on that one. The criticism hasn't been talked about, and Ubisoft only issued demands that we mustn't engage with discussion on that topic. Of course, why would you want to talk to anyone? This is very similar, as pointed out here, is what they did over at Firewalk Studios in Concord, where they basically weren't allowed to talk to anyone. You see here when they were trying to talk about the criticism over there, The trailer that first dropped for it, they were like, yeah, that trailer. That moment is such a tiny slice of everything that we've been working on over years and years. We're excited for all toxic positivity instead of just listening to the criticism. And well, 2 weeks later, the game only lasted that long. And so, yeah, you can see it doesn't matter how much of an echo chamber you're in, or rather it does, but it's something, if you're in an echo chamber, you cannot correctly address these things if you dismiss every single correctly pointed out. Well, what about this? Oh, well, you just hate all the pronoun people that we put in, and so on and so forth. So not only did the Ubisoft developers share about the ignoring of criticisms to their own detriment, but they also asked about the commitment to diversity and inclusion, because we just saw the CEO come out and be like, no, we're not committed to putting out any sort of messaging, all evidence to the contrary. Literally, the own company document stating the opposite. But the developer, let's see what they say. So far, those initiatives had no impact on the team I'm part of. However, it's clear that some topics are taboo. What happened is that now people end up in meetings with HR for trivial stuff, not adding smiley in a message or adding an exclamation point at the end of a message because some are reporting it for harassment. Could you imagine he didn't add a smiley face and got reported by HR? One of these things that wasn't in your video is that Ubisoft had some controversy during the Me Too period, letting go a manager in high positions and some left on their own so they wouldn't be discovered. When asked about how this changed the editorial direction of the company and its games, the developer said the editorial direction and overall mindset shifted from boys club to safe content, reaching for plain character K, and Star Wars is the perfect example of this. The idea is to have beautiful characters such as in Baldur's Gate or Uncharted is met with distrust because you can't trust pretty people. He added, safe content also leads to limited opportunity on the gameplay side, even for Star Wars. And this is what you find across the board. I'm sorry. It was better when it was the boys club. Girls can hang out. We got a bunch of girls that hang out in the boys club, but they were just better games. Fuck. Yeah. We had to work with Disney, which would have shut down most attempts at depicting a true criminal underworld with cruelty and drama. Right. So this is like a Disney. It's a Disneyland. It's Disney Star Wars. It's the Disneyland version. The developer asked, the developer was then asked, what has been the message from management to the staff about Ubisoft's declining sales? What do they believe is the real reason behind it? He responded, the fun fact is they don't talk much about it. They mainly focus on the fact that they reach their financial objectives, which are mainly achieved through casual player sales, not the vocal gamer community that are really sick of what you described in your video. Also, something to know is that through the years, the number of management floors have increased to ridiculous amounts. So communication is often blurry unless they come directly from headquarters. And even then, it's almost entirely corporate bullshit that isn't useful in the end. And in the end, it didn't even matter. I tried so hard and got so far. Okay, sorry. That tracks completely. That most of them don't even hear the problems or criticism, and when they do, they are very quickly brushed off as toxic gamer talk by incels, and then they exist in a toxic positivity where, just like every other one, all the competent people have been replaced, and whoever's left is so afraid of being taken to HR over not putting a smiley emoticon. Yeah, that's the state of the gaming industry that we are in right now. So you let me know what you think of all of this. By all means, please make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you. And
well, bye.